won't let me. The question is, well, let me share my screen from over here.
Did it ask?
Not yet, but well, they have audio.
Darth Vader. Hey, I'm in your spot, aren't
No, you're right where you can be.
I? Thanks. Well, this is your.
This is,
Okay,
that's good.
got it.
How you doing, Pop?
Could be okay. It won't let me share my screen. It says the host won't give me permission, and yet this computer's the host.
Oh.
Is there a way to, because I want to project off of there.
Ooh,
And if you roll over it, it doesn't allow. There you go. Go to more. Or no, go to participants. And then you right click on it.
Hello. How's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good.
Make host?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. That'll work. Nothing much better if I can share my screen. Not that a lot of people may dial in, but
we'll have a few. We should have Lori, Dana, and Riley for sure.
now it says I'm sharing here. Why isn't it sharing on the screens here though? There we go. Yeah, video. All right, if anybody's here to speak at the public hearing, there's some little forms to fill out with your name and address. And if you get those, to me, then I'll call you.
This is just open forum.
Yeah. What I'll do is I'll take them and I'll call them. Thank you.
Thank you. Glenn's on.
Are we expecting full?
Thank you. Thank you. So far, I just have Glenn online. As far as participants, nobody's waiting or no stuff.
Good evening, everyone.
People access if it pops up, or you?
Yeah, it has to, but it'll show here. It'll say admit. I purposely have it sitting so. Sit. If I don't see it, you guys. Let them in. Let them. Need one more. Well, actually, technically, yeah, 4. So we got quorum. So we're good there. We're good there.
Can you guys hear me okay? This is Len Soul.
All right, well, it is 7:01. So 7:01, I'm officially meeting to order. We'll start out with roll call. On my right. You want to start?
Jim? Pardon?
I said you want to start. With roll call.
Sorry. Jim Richards.
Paul Janetto. 2 committee members who are under the gun. Want to introduce? Fantastic. All right. So the minutes were circulated from last meeting. And they were attached to this your pack. Were there any edits, corrections, additions? Months. Seeing a bunch of head shaking, no. Is there a? If not, is there a motion? To approve? Chris made a motion. Second, Jim. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Tonight's agenda
only has two things on it.
Two things on it.
I'm going to be
Having the public hearing at 7:05
for the
for the rezoning of 636 Vintage Road Northwest from B2
to residential.
to residential.
And then
Mike Flaherty, our city attorney,
did
go through and make those edits from last month's meeting. And then we have some additional questions that he had that he wants us to add some clarification on that we'll go over. Is there anything else that anybody wants to add to the agenda? Otherwise, if somebody wants to make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. Second.
Second, Jose. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Perfect. All right. For those in the audience, I know we had one more person come in. If you do want to speak at the public hearing, I just need you to fill out the little piece of paper on the front.
Clarify, that paper I gave you, was it for the public hearing for the rezone, or was it just for public comment?
It's so we don't have an open public comment period like the city council does. Was there something that you wanted to discuss with planning and zoning?
Just wanted to give you a heads up, that's all.
Okay, well, we can add that to the agenda as an informational item. So I'll make a motion to modify the agenda and add Vanessa Hines.
Second.
Thank you, Jim. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. So then I'll cross out your the rezoning that you have on here. Nope, no problem. You can still comment on it if you want. That's part of the public process. And let me just do a quick check. I have nobody else in the waiting room. And Glenn, can you hear us okay?
I can, it's a little bit in and out, but can you hear me okay?
Oh, we don't hear you. Yeah.
The volume.
Let's see here.
Can you hear me now?
100%. Let me check on this controller. Source volume 100%.
Can you hear me now?
What that does. Glenn, you want to try talking again?
Yep, I'm trying. Can you hear me now?
Hmm.
Is he muted or unmuted?
He's unmuted because I saw his thing go from red to.
Yeah, this thing is moving when he talks.
Put that center control button there, that's X'd out. On this monitor up here.
Let's see something here. I don't have any options there. I don't know. It might.
Video.
Let's see what other controls that I got here. Because right now it says participants can unmute themselves. That's allowed.
If you can hear me, I'm
You
unmuted.
have to unmute on his side too.
He's talking.
Yeah, I'm unmuted.
So he's talking it, but it's not.
Glenn,
Can
do
you
you
hear me
want
now?
to try dialing into one of the phone numbers
Yes.
that's in the meeting? The 312-626-6799 number and see if that works. I'm not good at reading lips.
Repeat the number.
And I finally had Zoom a little bit to realize I need to do the dialing portion of it. On my computer, it doesn't just allow me to zap in, I have to do the dialing portion as well.
Oh, you do have to dial and you can't use your mic on the computer. I know sometimes it does get fussy with the mics on the computers. Aha, I got the chat function. We can type back and forth. All right, let me put the number in there for you. I'm gonna copy and paste it so I don't get it wrong. All right, so he got off Zoom. And nobody else in the waiting room. You're all my witness. I have every little window open.
Good evening. This is Glenn Soley. Can you hear me?
Can I mute all and then unmute all?
Yeah, I don't want to.
Allow participants to unmute themselves. Yes. Ask to unmute.
Good evening. This is Glenn Soley. Can you hear me?
His phone though is talking.
I don't know if anyone needs to.
Yeah, I can hear you, but obviously you can't hear me. Not sure what to do.
What's this one?
Yeah.
Okay, back to a phone call in. Okay. Yeah, okay, well, I'll let them work on that. As long as you're called in. This is the first time with this new system.
No.
Oh,
This couple times.
okay.
Somehow he needs to be accepted, and he's not-
Hello, this is Glenn Soley. Can you hear me?
In and is in the queue on his phone. Is that something that you can see or?
So that's him on the phone right there, and so we admitted him. And so he's literally in the meeting, and his phone is moving, because I can see the icon is saying.
And I can hear you. Yep, I can hear you right now.
Because otherwise it says invite in. So we've already invited and accepted him. I'm not sure why we don't have audio though. That's
It's giving feedback when you're on the phone. It's just detecting.
yeah. And we're not on mute here.
Can you hear me?
Your sound's up. And there's nothing on mute on this computer.
Yeah, it's cool. Just try it.
Otherwise we can call him. If you have his number, I can call him on my phone and improvise. That's true.
We could try that. Well, let's not sit there and go.
Yeah. Tell him he gets a 262 area code, it's me. Technology.
Yeah. I have a lot of few relationships, isn't it?
Yeah.
Hey, Glenn.
Find the connection here.
Hey, Glenn, it's Paul. Sorry for the inconvenience. I'm gonna put you on my speakerphone here, okay? All right. All right. So this is what we're gonna do.
All right.
We have him here.
Well, good evening, everyone. This is Glenn Soley. Thank you for having me.
All right, thanks, Glenn. All right, let me just check the waiting room again, make sure we have nobody else. All right, I am officially going to open up this so we can get going here. So, all right, Glenn, you have submitted an application to rezone your property, which is currently zoned B2. Do you want to discuss or summarize essentially your request and why you're asking for this?
Yeah. Essentially, so today it's obviously zoned as a commercial property. We've been trying to sell the property for quite some time, and there's zero interest in the property for residential. I mean, for commercial, just because of the way that it's structured, set up, and aligned. And so all the interest has been around residential. And when you look at the property itself, in terms of being commercial, it's not structured that way. The only part of the property that runs along the interstate is a very highly elevated area that isn't conducive for entry. And it's all, the majority of the property is rolling hills and completely wooded. So there's nothing level in terms of being able to convert it into a commercial property. And also the properties to the northeast and to the south are residential already. The only part of the property that's surrounded by commercial is to the southwest, which I think is the adjoining property to the southwest is just like a storage facility or something. And then across the road is actually a commercial camper store or something like that. But nonetheless, it's just not a conducive property for commercial, just for the sheer cost of trying to level it or clearing it out or doing anything with it. I think it's a very cozy, great 11 acres for a nice residential home. So my options are either just to keep it as vacant land or try and sell it as residential, which I think would benefit both the city and myself from at least the city from a taxation standpoint for building something there, and myself obviously to move along to the property. Does that make sense?
Yep, perfect. And Glenn, just to clarify, I know in your application, you put R1/R2. But in Joe Palin and the other letters, it was all R1. To clarify, are you looking to zone it as R1 or R2?
I've never been through this before, and so I was looking through it. I didn't quite understand the difference between R1 and R2.
Yeah.
Could you clarify, and I could answer?
Yep. So R1 is single family residential, which is what Joe Palin and the city had recommended it be zoned to. And R2 is a multifamily.
Definitely R1. I'm sorry.
Nope.
R1.
That's what I thought, but I wanted to make clear because in your application it said R1/R2. So, all right. All right. Well, I'm going to keep you on the line. And then what I'm going to do now is I'm going to be opening it up for the public hearing for public comment. And then after the public comment period closes, just so you know, then the Planning and Zoning Committee will discuss this. And again, I'm going to keep you online because if we have questions, that way we can talk back and forth to you. And then once we're all done with your item, I'll let you go. But for now, hang tight.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. All right, so I'm officially going to open up the public comment hearing portion. It's now 7:19. I do have one sheet, and if there's anybody else who does want to comment, you still can submit a sheet in. But Sean, first guy, I know you're from Caldwell Realty.
Yeah, I'm Foley's real estate agent, actually. So I'm here mainly if there were questions that came up from our experience so far. So that's the only reason that I'm here, is just to answer any questions. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Is there anybody else? I have nobody else online. Anybody else in the room? All right, so to make this legal, I have to do this 3 times. Okay, so bear with me. So that was call number 1. Call number 2, are there any other comments on the rezoning of 636 Vintage Road, Orinoco from B2 to R1? Nobody still online? Still quiet in the room? And I will now do a 3rd and final call for public comment on rezoning of 636 Vintage Road from B2 to R1. All right, at 7:21, I will now close the public comment period and open it up for discussion amongst Planning and Zoning Committee members. Does anybody have questions since I have Glenn on my phone? So Glenn, just so you know, I know you're not on the video portion. Right now, we had no public questions or comments. You probably heard Sean, your realtor here, and no questions from the committee. It seems pretty much that even Joe Palin, our city engineer, has also looked at the topography of the land and agrees with the steep slope, rolling hills, lack of sewer and water. His recommendation was that the city also go and convert this to R1. And the mayor and obviously the realtor has also indicated that as well with documents and letters that are in our packet. Just so you know, we got the full packet.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Now, do I have a motion then from Planning and Zoning Committee?
I'll make a motion.
Okay, Trish. I will say one thing here. Let me just pull it up though for formality before I get that from you. Because there are a couple things that we just have to, for the record, state. And I started writing them up already.
We should have our bullet points that we need to meet.
Yep, I have those already. So there are 3 bullet points. The proposed zoning change will be compatible with the overall needs of the city and the existing land use is bullet number 1. The proposed zoning change is consistent with the purpose of the zoning chapter and the geographical district in which the rezoning is intended. Number 2. And number 3, the proposed rezoning will sufficiently be compatible with the goals and objectives of the local comprehensive plan. Those are the 3 things that we are asked to make meet. And the findings of fact that I have recorded based on this include the topography and steep grade of the land with limited access for commercial businesses. Makes it much more consistent for use as residential. This information was confirmed by the city engineer, Joe Palin, who stated also that current water and sewer is not available, but it could be served by a private well and septic if permitted by Olmsted County. And the recommendation from Joe Palin was that it should be allowed to be developed as a single family residence. Again, citing those finding of facts of the topography.
I think although current water and sewer is not currently available, it should be noted, Sean, that any buyer is going to be subject to coming water and sewer hookups that will
Yep.
come fairly soon.
Unfortunately, yeah. Sewer probably, yeah, exactly. All right, so those were the 3, those were the findings of facts and the 3 bullet points that we had to making sure we met. Now, I will turn Trish to your motion.
Motion to approve zoning change from B2 to R1 on 636 Vintage Road, Northwest.
All right, so we have a motion to recommend to city council to approve the rezoning request. Do I have a second? Jose, you were a hair faster. You got the trigger on that one. You beat Jim out. Any further discussion from planning and zoning? Otherwise, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so Glenn, just so you know, next steps here. Planning and zoning has unanimously recommended that we approve the rezoning request. However, city council makes the final determination. We recommend to city council, and they will be meeting next week. This will be on their agenda packet as part of their agenda. I would recommend that you call into that one as well. Just in case if they have questions for you. You do have 2 city council members who are here present tonight. Both Jim and Trish are on the city council. So they obviously heard the arguments, have seen the packet, and also can be there if any questions arise. But so you passed phase 1 and now you go on to phase 2 and
Wonderful. Yeah, I don't have any questions. That's great news, and I'll plan on attending next week.
okay. Thank you very much. I'll let you go then. Unless you want to hang out. You're welcome to hang out.
If I could see you, I would hang out, but considering like I can't, it doesn't matter. But no, thank you very much, everyone. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you, Glenn.
Yep. Have a good night. Bye now.
Bye. All right. Still nobody in the lobby. All right. That's okay. All right, so the next thing on our agenda is our tiny home ordinance. So Mike did make a number of edits that we had asked for. If you recall from last month's meeting, the question or one of the main things that we had talked about was the Homeowners Association, creation of a Homeowners Association, because we wanted to have the landscaping and other rules to be regulated by that. So in the packet, he did go through, and I can actually pull that up and actually share that on my screen so that people here can see it. He did go through and add in everything. Some of those changes, just so you guys are aware, I'm going to just highlight all of the things that he did change in version 3 here. We did specify the limits, so the size of the homes. They are limited to 120 to 400 square feet, which is consistent with Appendix Q of the Minnesota State Code. He put that in there just so that he wanted the numbers in there. Then he also updated Again, this is only going to be an R2, which is what we had wanted it. And oops, I bypassed it right here. The establishment of a homeowners association that is required for them to have a homeowners association, and every property owner within that thing must belong to the association, and they can collect dues, and they're responsible for upkeep and maintenance of all the common properties that we had asked for. So he did add this whole new section in as part of that. Nothing changed. Then here's where it says that lot landscaping. And remember, we added consistent with regulations within the homeowners association governing documents. So again, putting the landscaping requirements also on to the homeowners association on that last line. So now that's all consistent with what we had asked him to do.
Hold up, back up. Read that carefully. Or hard surface off-street parking, the entire lot shall be maintained with grass or natural landscaping. I think we had agreed that that would be at the approval of HOA. Natural landscaping, as we discussed last time, could be interpreted many ways.
But that's why it says all landscaping has to be consistent with the HOA. So whatever they choose at the HOA is the final governing body, not the city.
Okay. As long as it's clear.
Yep, so that's, yep, that's what so Mike being the attorney, made sure that that's how he worded it, because I did tell him that's what our concern was.
Mhm.
And so that's why he added, by adding that saying it has to be ultimately, as you know, the local, their HOA would govern the final decision process and have to approve that. The question that he had for this committee, and this remains the only question now that's outstanding. Oh, I did forget to mention one other thing. I realized it didn't have the centralized mail and garbage collection in here when I reread it myself. And so I asked him to add that. So you see number 8 is now there, centralized mail delivery and trash collection. Somehow that got pulled out when it translated from our document to legalese. So now that's in there. He said that's allowed because this is considered a PUD or planned unit development. And with those, you can dictate that thing. And that was something that this committee had asked for. So that is now in there. I want to point that out. The other thing, though, that part of that this committee had asked for was parking requirements, okay? In our current code, all homes have to have 2 spots. But because it's a tiny home, we only said you need 1. And that makes sense because you don't need a ton of parking spaces. You're going to have a very tiny home. It's less than 400 square feet. And so we did add that with the exception that only 1 parking space is required, and that would be constructed by the house for them. But then we had asked, and I think Tricia was you who had asked about additional parking or centralized parking. And so I had asked him, when I asked him to put back the centralized mail delivery and trash collection that we had in there, I asked about that. And his comment was, I need you to be more clear on that. Because he goes, what are we specifically looking for? You don't want to mandate centralized parking because he goes, they don't have to provide additional parking. They just can provide the 1 space by each home. And then if anybody comes and visits, they can park, in the street like you would anywhere else. He goes, what are you looking for? He did some looking at other codes and he goes, I don't find anything in there about a centralized parking garage or structure in other tiny home community codes. But he's like, so he goes, you tell me what you want. He goes, and I'll add it in. So the question for this group is, do we want to call something out or not?
I think it's ridiculous to expect that even if we provide the 1 parking at the unit and then have like centralized garages or whatever, so they technically have a second space. I really think that, any apartment complex or, what do I want to say, like townhomes or anything that you see that's multiple units that have additional parking for guests and that sort of thing. So I honestly think that the developer should be expected to provide I want to use the word centralized parking space of, let's say, 5 units, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just suggesting that that space would be available, and let's say if they're having a birthday party or what, I mean, it's.
Like a visitor parking.
a
Yeah,
visitor
whether
parking,
even-
So
It could be sporadic throughout, maybe like a 3-space or 4-space plot, you know.
Yeah,
in
I'm not
different
trying to
locations,
dictate
not in
where,
just one.
I'm just saying that they should have,
So visitor parking and centralized parking are two different things that
Right.
Mike said.
Yeah.
right, I
get
don't,
that.
yeah.
Visitor park.
So
I
that,
think I would be more inclined to go with the visitor parking as well.
Okay.
Because that was my intent when I brought it up was,
and that's where Mike wanted the clarity, because he's like, he goes, are you looking to have one centralized place? So remember, this thing could be a big
Not a
acre
parking
thing, and you
lot.
have to,
No.
you have right here,
No.
everybody's got to park over here. I don't care how close it is to your apartment.
no, I'm not looking for parking.
So visitor
restaurants,
parking.
I'm looking for just visitor parking. Like you say, 3 spots on this side, 3 spots on that side. I don't care. I just want to see that they provide
Kind of get off the street so they're not blocking
off
traffic. and-
street
So-
visitor parking.
There's like townhomes in Rochester and they're just centrally located, 2 to 3, 4 spot or, car spot.
Right.
Just throughout the complex.
What I've
So-
frequently seen is
Yep.
like at townhomes especially, they provide 1 space per unit.
How about this? Developer must provide additional visitor or actually guest or homeowner, additional off-street parking must be provided. That's what we're looking for.
You want it for a homeowner though, would you? Because you wouldn't want the homeowners taking the guest park.
Well, what I'm saying, if you have 2 cars though, and remember, our property lines and dimensions are such that you only can have 1 space next to your home.
I think it'd be hard to regulate who's, unless
Okay.
it's the association that's leasing it. You can include the homeowner's car versus.
I mean, some people are gonna have, you can have families in a small home, right? There are people, so you could have 2 people with 2 cars. So if you provide additional off-street parking, it would be the HOA to decide who, you could have slots marked off as visitor only and homeowners
I'm
only.
trying to catch this on the developer
Yep.
end of it so that it's not something that's,
Well,
I don't want it to become a burden to the residents.
Yep.
When it should be
Well, remember,
planned in
those
advance.
plans come and get approved by city council.
Right.
So that there's one place, but we can put a requirement that they have to have additional off-street parking available.
Just say for visitor. Or
Off-street,
don't even, I don't even know if you need.
You
to
can't
clarify.
specify,
Yeah.
and in these regulations, it's just additional off-street parking is how it goes
I
in.
think if we just simply say additional off-street parking shall be provided.
Perfect.
Do we want to put a minimum of 1 per tiny home?
I would recommend we,
Yeah, it should be a percentage. I mean, it should, because they could give you 2 spots for a whole complex, for a
Right.
whole community. They did it.
additional off-street parking,
Yeah.
50%. If you have 20 homes, you have to have 10 spots. Minimum,
Yeah.
we always say minimum of 50%.
Yeah.
They can have more. 50% of the developed units. Developed or planned units. Even if they're not developed, if you're still planning 20 in that subdivision, you have to have 10.
Right.
All right,
I take the word develop and just put in the word stand.
planned units. Trish, can I put you down? Is that your motion?
Roll with it.
Fantastic, I love it. Other comments, questions, or concerns about this, and then we'll go back to this motion. So we can capture them all in one motion. Are there other changes or things you want made to this? Because what he'll do is he'll make this change. It'll come back to us next month. If we approve everything, then next month we will send it to city council. And then if they approve it, it'll go for public hearing.
Did Mike have suggestions for us beyond
No.
what we had done?
No, he had none. He had already done his in draft 1, and then we had given him 2 more drafts.
Right, right. I just want to
Yep.
be sure that he didn't have others.
Yep, nope. Anything else from this committee that you want to see, or with Trish's motion is it? Do I have a second on Trish's motion? Scott, second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Fantastic. We'll get that change made, and then next month we'll forward it on to council for their blessing. And then from that, we'll have a public hearing for it, and then our code will have tiny home ordinance, which has been in the works for a while. Which is good. It's all in time for as we get sewer and water coming up. So this is perfect. All right, we do have one last item on the agenda, the addition of Vanessa Hines.
Good evening. My name is Vanessa Hines. I'm an engineer with Widseth, and I'm working with a landowner, Mr. Austin Lucas, who's here tonight. We've been working with city staff, the city engineer, on a project that is located on Minnesota Avenue, lots 1 and 2, for a commercial park. And we are submitting an application for rezone of those parcels from B2 to M1. We just, the application is to city staff, and I just wanted to come tonight and let you know that that'll be on next month's agenda. At this point, are there any questions on that?
Can you refresh me where that property is at the,
Directly across from me.
okay, all right. Oh,
And then, is it near that wetland?
That's my question, is the wetland.
There is a wetland on there. It's a platted wetland.
Right.
But this is on the west side of the street, just down the hill from those new storage units that are going in or have gone in.
Right, right. But it's directly across from my house. I have the giant wood pile. So I have a couple questions, because what I'm understanding of this is that this is intended for both RV outdoor storage, correct?
Correct.
Are you going to do, I know that there's been some issues with security. How are you addressing security? How are you addressing the street view of this? And will it be,
Great questions. We're planning a 6-foot high fence, black chain link fence around it with automated security gate. And we'll have security cameras throughout. And then we will have lighting, but we don't want to be obtrusive to the neighborhood around it either. So we're being considerate about that. So that is going in. I got the design guide for the land from my electrician, but we're trying to get it so the lighting is secure, but doesn't light up the whole neighborhood, is what we're trying to do. And then we will do some landscaping around the outside of it too, to make it look nice.
okay, and does that include like some planting of some fairly large trees?
So we do have the green belt.
But yeah, we will have some plants. We haven't figured out exactly the landscaping, but I do like to have nice looking properties, so that will be in the agenda, I guess.
Okay,
I
and
think
is
there's a requirement on that.
is the intent at this point, not that I'm holding you to this, don't get me wrong, but is the intent to have like these storage pieces like in the center of more storage buildings? Would that be correct?
No storage buildings at this point.
Just like RV.
Okay.
Just RV, just open. Yeah, so we want to make it a nice, clean looking, secure property. I want to try to tie rent locally into it, so I want to put some money into the security part of it. Try to get the nicer ones, and if they feel secure, they'll stay.
And you have been working with Joe Palin, because I think I've seen, I've been copied on emails, and they were talking about greenbelt requirements and plantings and stuff. So Trish, to a district thing, I do know Joe brought all of those things up.
Yeah, yeah. I'm just bringing you back up because I'm a major tree hugger, dirt worshiper.
The neighbors around there too, and actually use the land though too.
Okay, okay. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Is the fence required? Or
There is screening requirement. And so in the new updated codes,
storage units?
It's right here.
yeah, there is some fencing requirements.
I'm not gonna be able to find it, but I'll give it to you and you can look it up. So here are your districts. They're being
M1,
M1.
because that's based on our usage chart. That's what it has to be.
I have mine here in the organized. So then one is going to be,
Remember, I had it on the computer. but-
yeah, no, here's M1.
Okay, thank you.
Any questions though for Vanessa or Mr. Lucas, Austin?
A lot, what are these, two lots? Or what?
And what is being done with the wetland that's there? Anything at all?
No, we can't do anything.
Right, it's not being disturbed, right? That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Just north of Thompson Garage there.
Sure.
Yep.
530 Minnesota Avenue would be that address that that would be the address that we hit on.
5:30.
Yeah, 'cause mine's 540 directly across from,
Okay, yep.
yeah.
I keep getting asked for the address and I like have no idea.
530.
Okay.
If they go by the driveway, then it's gonna be 570, I believe. Yep.
All right, any other questions for them? Nope. All right, well, thank you for making the trip out.
Thank you for letting us speak tonight.
Yep, no, we appreciate it. Thank you. Well, you also now know how rezoning hearings go.
Staff recommended that we have that, and I think maybe for that reason.
Yeah, so you can see the format. So you'll, again, when we actually get your full application and everything, you guys will have the same opportunity like Glenn did to present, and then we'll open it up. And then obviously the committee might have additional questions.
Include an application for membership to P&Z.
Yeah. All right, thank you. All right, that is it. So at 7:45, I'm going to make a motion that we adjourn.
Second.
Trish, you did not waste any time on that.
No, I'm
They
going
didn't give
home.
Scott a
I
chance to
have
get in
done
there.
five houses and 4 meetings this week. I'm done.
Yeah. These weeks get busy. I saw you online for sewer.
Oh
You
my
too, Jim.
gosh, yeah, that's true. Like I said, 4
Yeah.
meetings this week.
Yeah.
5 cleaning houses.
Why didn't we go rush? Get that